Okay, you riding with the real. What's good? What's happening? What's cracking? What's good? Life is good. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're feeling fine. I hope you feel that way all the time. But what we want to talk about today, and the topic of the day is the 10 similarities of billionaires, millionaires, and successful people. And I just got off the phone with a extremely wealthy man who takes the time to communicate with people that are not at his level. When you find somebody like that, shut your mouth and listen and take good notes, and then come holler at me and leave me some. Tell me something good. So these are some of the things I learned, and that maybe are refreshed sometimes. Maybe I've heard it before, I know it, but I'm reminded. All right, so number one, sensitivity to awareness. If you have found Tai Lopez and his 67 steps, he'll tell you, and if you've seen him or heard him, the first one is the awareness factor. Or there's a couple, he does he mixes a couple steps together. It might be more than that, but nonetheless, the point of the first one is awareness, being aware of what's going on around you, know what's happening and what's going on, and being sensitive to that which is going on. Like when I drive, I'm thinking about other people, and how they're going to move and what they're going to do, and I try to communicate with them through hand signals and letting them know, to either go or wait, or I'm going to go this way if I see them going another way, but it's good just to know, the buttons that are on that are in your car, that are on your computer, that are on your phone, knowing what all the buttons do, just knowing, everything that's around you and utilizing the things that are right in front of your face. Have you ever been looking for something and someone tells you it's right there in front of your face? It happens to guys a lot in the fridge, and I heard this statistic, and it was pretty interesting, but I'm going to move on. Number two is future focused. They're future focused on what will be, not what currently is, but what will be in the future, which will lead to another step later, but seeing the future for what it should be, what it will be, and how you're going to play a part in that, and not worrying about your current situation maybe, or whatever the need may be. Staying future focused, knowing where you're going, kind of like when you're driving, you're always going forward. I'm not driving backwards, or you would tell me, to be careful or whatever, understanding, the mirrors, right? Awareness factor and driving forward. But the third one, high processing capacity. A series, and then the series says that the definition for processing, a series of actions or steps to achieve a desired end. High processing capacity, knowing where you want to go and what steps that you need to take to get to where you want to go. Persistent adaptability. Constantly, and I feel like I'm really good at this, pretty good at this, great at this. Let's see, I think I gotta keep going. Yes. All right, so I feel like I'm really good at this, as being in a situation, new environment, a new situation, and you're always understanding what to do in that situation. You're very adaptable. You look at the situation, you process it, and you adapt to your environment, and thinking how you can get ahead or how you can gain the advantage, which is a later step, but just persistent adaptability. And that's why people like that, such as myself, and if you're having trouble in school, you might relate to this, where you might be having trouble in school because it's so structured, where you might need a little bit of change and adaptability to move, a little bit more room to do things a little bit differently. Just being able to adapt and persist through the different changes of life that life brings. Intense focus on results or a single outcome. Staying focused on what needs to be done, what is to be what you're trying to create, what you're trying to get done, staying focused and being intentional on seeing that through, right? So intense focus or results on a single outcome. Bias for improvement. I put a side note, always choose to make it better. We want to always choose to make it better, right? Bias for improvement. We don't want to just accept it for what it is, the status quo, how it's always been, but how can we improve and make it better is always the focus. And what I was talking about earlier with, the other step, what was it? High processing capacity, intense focus. All right, anyway, nonetheless, bias for improvement, wanting it to get better, not just settling for the status quo, but aiming for, a better way to do things. And sometimes when people get into their habits and situations, they want to control the environment to stay the same and support the status quo. But those that think outside of the box, or how can we do it better, they're always maybe challenging that status quo and challenging the different things and structures and systems that keep things in place. All right, so experiential and experiential. So experience teaches you, right? And experiments teach you. And I've talked about it before, this subject, and I'm not going to elaborate on it right now, but it's important to understand the experiences you go through and the experiments that you take and, you do, the experiments that you do, you learn from those things. So don't be scared to learn from those. And that's one of the similarities of billionaires, is they're not scared to learn things and also put in the mix what they've learned. But a big, I would say, an emphasis on experiment. Just being like a mad scientist, not being afraid to shun everybody and, just be a part, like a mad scientist in his lab, not scared to just be alone and focus on what needs to be done so you provide a good product for the world to purchase. So, for $1 billion. Perceived unique connections. Now, leaders are good leaders, and they also know how to be good followers. Okay, good leaders know how to be good leaders, but they also know how to be good followers. But the thing, kind of like myself, and I think I'm a good leader. I think I'm a good follower. I know how to follow instructions and do what needs to be done. I got a comment from somebody the other day, which I feel like he's a decent leader, but I think he was trying to throw this attack for a certain reason, that I don't like to follow instructions. But like my brother told me, why does a grown man that knows what to do need to be told what to do? I agree with both sides of that, because at the same time, I also agree, even if I don't understand, if you're in charge, I'm going to follow your lead. Let's go. I'm going to let you lead. Because when I call the shots, when I'm a leader, I want you to do the same thing. So I don't mind to follow, and I think a good leader wouldn't mind to follow when they don't have the steering wheel, right? And that's not to be a, control freak, but to understand the process and the ebb and flow of life and leading and following. I think that's a very important thing to understand. But perceiving unique connections, you might disagree with the person that has the wheel. You might disagree with the person that might be in charge at the moment, but you're going to get your time. That's how I perceive this step right here. Perceiving things uniquely and differently might cause a lot of frustration too. So it might cause you to go back into that lab and experiment on your own time, even though, it may not work at your work, wherever you work at during the day, or whatever situation you may be in. But moving ahead, number 9, drive for gained advantage. This is what I was talking about earlier. Now you may seem cutthroat because you're always asking, how do I get ahead? How do I get gain? How do I get more? How do I get abundance, have abundance, whether it's success or money or whatever, right? Is that drive for gained advantage, wanting to get more. So sometimes these people do seem cutthroat because they're focused and they're going to get gain, because maybe also they know that when they get more, they can give more. Now, so whether it's philanthropic or charitable in their drive, or whether it's selfish in their drive, it may be perceived the same way, because they're so focused and determined on getting what they want to get that they go after it, and maybe even miss that people get hurt while going after it because they're so focused, right? And then the last one, 10, would be internal or innate motivation. Innate motivation, I feel like, is very important, and some would agree and argue that there's only one kind of motivation, and that's internal motivation. But however you perceive motivation, if somebody else says something that sparks in you and then you go, or you realize that you are the one that took in the information, processed it, and decided to go, however you want to look at it, being internally motivated to say, okay, I know this needs to be done in my life. I need to lose weight. I need to make money. I need to get a new job. I need to get a new spouse. I need to get a new boyfriend, girlfriend. I need to get a new person in my life. I need to start my relationship with whoever, whatever situation new. And I'm going to do it now, and I'm going to do it this way. I don't have it on this phone. I am about to make a post, and I'll share it a few minutes on my Facebook, and maybe my Instagram too, a couple of my social medias. So the Real Bacaboo all over social media. When it's Snapchat, it's the Real is REEL, right? The Real Bacaboo, like a movie reel. And so I'm gonna post that, but it talks about the steps to getting something done. When you want to get something done, write it down on paper, make action steps to get it, and go after it. Set a date and go after it. And that's what I'm about to do now. I'm really excited to go do that. And for now, I got to bounce. So keep climbing, keep grinding, and I'll see you all at the top, because the bottom's too crowded, baby, and that ain't no place for us. So peace and love. I'm out.